Hi, thanks so much for joining me on the Everything and Anything and a Bit Gay podcast. I had a really interesting guest that I want to tell you about in a minute. But before I do that, I'll tell you one thing about him before I start. He is a hypnotist. And I never have been hypnotized until I started doing this podcast. And I feel like I talk about Myra Roth so many, like every 5 podcasts, I feel like I mention her because she really changed my way of thinking about things. So just if you haven't heard this episode or heard me talk about her before, if you're just listening to my show for the first time or just started listening, Myra is somebody that she hypnotized me, uh, did it over Zoom. I was laying down with a mask and headphones on, and she hypnotized me and took me back to my past lives, and 2 of them. And she was just really amazing. She just changed my thinking and helped me evolve into thinking about reincarnation differently. And, I knew when we died, we're not going to go to a heaven or a hell. I wasn't quite sure. At one point in my life, I thought you just die and you're dead and you're laying there, or you're cremated and like that's it. Like you're done. Um, but people on my show that I've had for the past almost 2 years and the interviews that I've done have made me think differently about what happens when you die. So that's just kind of great growth, I think, for me. I guess none of us really knows what happens until we're going to die one day. But I've had a lot of proof of things that have happened. Myra went into my past life and told me who I was in a couple of past lives, and it feels like it was just like a memory I forgot, and now I remember, and I remember about this. And it was nothing that I thought I'd ever be. She told me I was a farmer in like the 1930s or 40s. That is not at all who I am or who I thought I would have been in my past. Not that I thought I would have been a king or a queen or whatever, but for some reason I always thought it was like a disco, not a disco, like a go-go girl from the 60s for some reason is always what I thought I was. I don't know. I always felt like I identified as that, like a a girl that was in a club, dancing and had a short skirt on, these high boots, and just a party girl. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe that was another life I had. Um, but going back to my show today, his name is Kevin Stone. He is very well known. He's been doing this for over 30 years. He is called the Hollywood Hypnotist. And it was a lot of back and forth to get our schedules aligned with each other. And I'm so glad that we both kept kind of pursuing this to try to make it happen, because he's been interviewed a million times. He's been on television. He's done hypnotism with major celebrities. A couple that he didn't say it fully, but he kind of like mentioned was George Clooney, Jennifer Aniston, the Prince of Egypt. Like major people in the world. And he is very sought after as a person that, people want to be hypnotized. He told one story about a woman that was very, very wealthy that lived in Connecticut. And you'll hear the full story about how he took away 35 years of a pain in her shoulder after 6 sessions. And this woman sounds like she had unlimited money and resources. She went to doctors and was trying all this medicine. And after he did this 35 years of pain in her shoulder was gone because of his technique. And he has a real gift. The only thing I wish was different about the interview that I did with Kevin is that I, a lot of times, will step back and ask them, do you realize like what you've done for people, or what gift you've given people, or how you've made a change in lives? And have you ever stepped back and kind of reflected about what a good person you are, or what you've brought to this world? And he kind of said no, and he wouldn't do it either. Like, I wanted him to realize how awesome of a person he was. And it's kind of like he's just like, this is just what I'm meant to do, and this is just what I do. And people, I'm just guiding them, but people are doing it on their own. But what I really want him to realize is that if he wasn't doing it and helping them and guiding them and teaching them this, then these people would still have this trauma or pain or whatever. They'd still be smoking, or they wouldn't have lost weight, because he helps with all those things through hypnotism. And so that's the one thing I wish. And when Kevin, if you're listening to this episode, which I hope you do, I hope you do kind of step back, because I thought you were an awesome and an amazing guy. And you've helped so many people, and I appreciate you as a person so much. You were an amazing guest, and I'm so glad, and I feel honored that I got to interview him. And I hope you enjoy the show with Kevin. If you want to learn more about him, you can go to hypnotist.com. He has got an amazing domain name, hypnotist.com. He got that way back early in the internet days. He's also a Hollywood Hypnotist, Kevin Stone, on Instagram. And if you Google world's best hypnotist, he's going to come up. So he is done this. He's been in over 40 countries doing this. He's met with thousands of people, and he's changed a lot of lives for the better. So enjoy the show. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about Kevin. If you want to meet with Kevin, he does sessions, he teaches classes. He's going to give an offer. I'll just tell you, the very last thing I'll say is that we had a technical difficulty at the very end of the interview where his computer died or he lost internet connection. And I didn't get to, I had to do the kind of the ending without him, but he is giving an offer. And so if you go to his website, I'll put the offer in the podcast description or the video description. It's only going to be 1 week from the time this airs. So if you want to take advantage of what he's offering, do it within the first week. So thanks for listening, and enjoy my interview with Kevin Stone. Thanks so much for joining me on the Everything and Anything in a Bit Gay podcast. Today, I have an amazing guest. His name is Kevin Stone, and he is known as the Hollywood Hypnotist. So welcome to the show, Kevin.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So I have a million questions for you. First, I want to know how somebody gets started being a hypnotist, and then how does somebody become a famous hypnotist?
Great question, because this was not in my focus when I was going through college. And my focus was I wanted to be a news anchor, specifically a sports anchor. And so I got my BA in communications, and I thought I was on my way. And I'm originally from the East Coast. So I was working back in those days. Now, I'm an older guy. So the structure was a little bit different, right? So to get into television, especially a major market like Los Angeles, you had to do stepping stones. And I didn't really have an interest in it at the time. I just kind of went in to get more college credit because I was in between jobs. And anytime I'm in between anything, I usually go back to academia because I have a mind, a very curious mind, and I like to learn a lot of different things in life. So I've always had an interest in hypnotism, I would think, like most people, when I was a boy. I used to see the ads in the back of the comic books and thought, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting. I'd kind of like to do that, but never really pursued it until I was in between jobs, and I kept getting information about this college in Tarzana. And I was living in the Valley at the time, which wasn't too far away. And I thought, okay, I'm going to get college credit for this, and I'm going to get to learn something that I always wanted to do. Hey, I'm in. I didn't really take it seriously, though. I just wanted the college credit. So I signed up for the program, and that was over 30 years ago. And the rest is pretty much history. So that's how you get into it. And that's one of the only colleges in the world. And now they have a line. All this technology is so different.
Yeah.
So that's one of the best colleges in the world. Yeah.
And how did you get the title Hollywood Hypnotist? How did you get that? That's a big title.
I love your questions, man. Yeah. So that's not a self-proclaimed thing. When I graduated from the school, I actually became an instructor at the school, and I spent about 5 years after the fact becoming an instructor and really immersing myself in the program, helping others to graduate through the program. But at the same time, I had my private practice in the Valley, and the word was getting out about my techniques and the help that I was giving people. And mainly it was happening in the entertainment world, where a lot of the celebrities were coming to me for various things, just like anything else, because we're all the same people. They have issues too. And so the word was getting out. So eventually, was it Access? I think it was Access Hollywood, one of those news television programs.
Extra Access Hollywood. One
there you go.
Right?
Exactly. So they called me up and said they want to do an interview about smoking and some other different type of things.
Yeah.
And I went, great. Sign me up. So we went in, and I forget what her name was, but she's the one who basically came up with the Hollywood Hypnotist thing. And so it kind of stuck. But back then, when I was passing along through the family, my colleagues and everything, they thought it was kind of hokey. It's just not.
I like it. I don't think it is at all.
I agree with you. And so that's why I kept it. And it kind of caught because, look, nobody remembers your name specifically, right? It's always the hypnotist guy or that hypnotist or this. So in my business, this is how it works. So the Hollywood Hypnotist thing was really catching fire, and they didn't really remember by Kevin Stone, the rest of it, but they got the Hollywood Hypnotist. So I left it, and the rest is history. And so that's kind of where it's at now. And I guarantee you, even after this interview, people are going to not look up my name, Kevin Stone. They're going to look up the Hollywood Hypnotist.
Hollywood Hypnotist. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if we would have reached out to each other and you would have said, "I'm Kevin Stone," can we? I would have been like, yeah, okay, maybe we can interview you. But you said the Hollywood Hypnotist, and I'm like, yes, come on my show, please.
Exactly. Yeah. Now there's another Dr. Kevin Stone up in Washington. He is a world-renowned surgeon where he deals with pain. So my office gets in his office, and we've had many conversations. So people are looking for Kevin Stone. When they look for Kevin Stone, they get it confused. So he refers them to me. I refer him up to him.
So was the Access Hollywood or Extra TV or whatever it was that your first kind of where you were more known and kind of pushed into the public eye?
No, there was a lot. The community had already, I had already known about my technique. So this was way before about what was happening, because my practice was thriving because of that. Sports figures started to come to see me. Like any other community, people think it's vast, but it isn't. It's very small, and the word gets out very quickly. So no, I was pretty much well known up to that point. I think the media finally was like, this is a good interest story, kind of like probably why you and I have connected, because you just said it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kevin Stone, why don't I talk to that guy? I want to talk to the Hollywood Hypnotist guy, right? Yeah. So I think the media really caught on, and they do periodically. Again, it comes in waves where hypnosis is in the media or in movies and television, then it kind of goes away a little bit, and it comes back. So it's like everything else. It comes and goes. It's an ebb and flow. So they started calling, and then that's how the rest of it happened.
Who was like, what's some of the things that you've helped some of the celebrities with that you've worked with? Like what's one of the biggest things that you're proud of?
I'm proud of everything of it all, because I'm still in awe that I'm actually still blessed to be doing this and doing the work that I do, because that's my passion. My passion is helping people to help themselves. And it's not me. I don't have any special powers as a hypnotist. None of that happens like you see on TV or in the movies. But I do have abilities, and I have techniques that I've developed over the years that allow people to take an issue, let's say smoking, weight. These are the common ones, right? Yeah. The common ones of when most people they think about a hypnotist is smoking, weight, and that's basically how I started too, the foundational stuff. But now, basically, hypnosis, you can apply that to anything you think about. So whatever it is you want to make those changes with, hypnosis is that application.
What about sleep issues? You can't go to sleep.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Insomnia.
Yeah.
Apnea. Absolutely. 100%. Now you have specialists too. You have I specialized in pain management. I was on staff at White's Memorial Hospital for TMJ and pain management issues. So there's specialties as well. But me, my techniques is like a blanket. And I tell people when they call, because they have the same questions you're asking, what is it I can do with these applications? With me, I don't know about any other hypnotists or hypnotherapists, but with me, I pretty much take just about everything on because the techniques that I've developed are applicable to that. So whatever you think about, it could be as simple as biting your nails, right? And that's my own personal story too. I was a nail biter.
Yeah.
And if we get time, we'll get into that. But yeah, generally, whatever you think about you want to change, This is the actual tool, the natural organic tool to help you to achieve that goal.
Let me tell you, I got hypnotized for the first time
Oh,
5 months ago. There was a woman that wanted to be on my podcast, and she can hypnotize people, and she can bring them through past life regression and show you
right,
what your past life was.
right.
And I said, "Yeah, I love stuff like that. Like, let's try it."
Yeah,
And I do. I went in with an open mind. I didn't think that she was full of shit or anything. Like, I thought, let's see what happens.
yeah,
And she did it, and she brought me back to two of my past lives. And now it's almost like she didn't plant it in my head. It's almost like she just brought the memories up, and it's just something that I now remember. And it's past lives I never would have thought I would have been. Like, it would have been my past life. It's so bizarre. So,
right, right.
and that's what her whole career is now, where she's bringing people through past life regressions and stuff. And I love it that she's doing that, and she's amazing at it
Now, did you get hypnotized through Zoom, or how did
through
she get?
Zoom.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the power of technology now. I mean, that's how I do all my sessions. There's really no office visits any longer because there's no need for it. And actually, I have found that through Zoom or a phone call, that it works better because there's no stress and anxiety of getting to the office, being on time. You're doing it at the comfort of your own home. And so past lives. So when you did your past lives, what happened? What memories
Basically,
manifested?
yeah. So she says, "Tell me what you're seeing," and before I went, she goes, "You got to just like go with it. If you got to just tell me what you're seeing, and don't try to make it up in your head." And I feel like I couldn't have made it up in my head really, because it felt like it was it felt like it really happened.
Yeah.
So I lay down on my bed. I have a blindfold on. I have a headphones on, listening to her. She's recording me on Zoom, like, because she gave me the audio and video file afterwards, and she basically says, "Tell me what you're seeing." And I said, "Oh, I'm seeing myself standing in a field."
Yeah.
And she goes, "What else are you seeing?" I'm like, "I think I'm looking at my house." And I was basically a farmer in the 40s in Kansas. I had a wife and two kids, two boys. Me and my wife died. I died laying in bed. And then one of my boys was actually somebody that's in my life today. Not that, and it was the whole thing. It was like, I remember. I don't want to say I have all these memories of that past life, but I remember that now, and I know it was true because it doesn't feel like a memory now. It feels like a memory. It doesn't feel like a story I just made up. It just
Right. Right.
she's so good at her job.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Now, there's a famous guy named Brian Weiss, and he has a book, Many Masters, Many Lives. And he was kind of the foundational guy when it came to applying hypnosis through achieving past lives, right?
mhm.
And so that whole book is basically a therapy session with this woman who's very similar. Now, with your sessions, are you experiencing healing, or what was the results for you?
No, the results were I just wanted to have her on, and then we did a podcast and talked about it afterwards.
Okay.
So there was no, like, I didn't have any. I mean, if I would have known that she could have said, "Oh yeah, I can help you with your sleep issues," then I probably would have talked to her about that.
Oh,
But this was
definitely.
just more for her to tell me about my past lives and stuff, and that's what she was doing.
Okay.
And she took me
So,
through, I think, 2 or 3 past lives, and
okay.
it was like an hour and a half session that she did with me.
So just curiosity, just to explore past life.
Yeah,
No,
just
no
because,
therapeutic value. Yeah.
no therapeutic. I just, I'm always curious about, I have mediums on my show and psychics and people that talk about reincarnation and stuff. And so, doing this podcast, I've interviewed, over 150 people, I guess, at this point. I really think about things differently now. And just about life and death and what happens and all this. I mean, I always had some kind of idea in my head, but now I have like a more it's completely different after interviewing people like her.
Right. You're more grounded now with, I don't know, it kind of fits into a holistic or spiritual
Yes.
realm, and understanding that a little bit better about what's really out there. And again, your mind is like my mind. That's why I went back to school and started learning this, because it wasn't really in my wheelhouse. It wasn't even something I remotely thought I would become and do for a living. But when you find
Yeah.
your gifts, right? Like what you're doing now, Zach, I'm assuming this is your passion, this is your gift, right? And so you want to continue to allow this to grow and become whatever it's going to become, what your visions are, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's what past lives can do as well, because it becomes very therapeutic. So I'll tell you a story very quick, because now you set up really for the listeners how, because a lot of people don't understand past lives either. They think it's, supernatural and all these things that you
Yeah.
see in movies and TV. It's just not. And it can become very therapeutic for the work that the one is doing. So I'm assuming that this woman that you got hypnotized by to do a past life, I'm assuming she's doing therapeutic work as well, not just doing past lives.
Yeah, I think she is for people. I think people have had some type of trauma in their life, and she's probably trying to help them in some ways.
Yeah. And so my story really quick with the past life. And again, so let me preface it with this, because I again, my mind is very analytical and very scientific. So if I don't have the scientific evidence in front of me, my
Mhm.
mind can't wrap itself around it. So that's why even when I was getting into hypnosis, I had a hard time understanding how
Mhm.
this natural organic
Yeah.
thing works, because it's not me doing it. It's you, everyone, all hypnosis is self hypnosis. So you're doing it to yourself, really.
Yeah.
The hypnotist or the woman doing past life, she's the guide, she's the facilitator taking you to
Yep.
where you're going. Furthermore, I'm from New England, so I come from a very conservative upbringing where this stuff was taboo,
Yeah.
non-existent. And so that stigma still is in the world today. Even who I've become, the stigma is still there, that again, they think I can walk into a bank and hypnotize the tellers and walk out with money. And I go, well,
Yeah.
listen to me. If I could do that, I don't need to do anything else for a living,
Yeah.
right? I don't even need to be on
Exactly.
this podcast. I just do. You're wasting my time to go to the bank today. So
Exactly.
that's the background I came from. And even when I was going to school for this, it was not encouraged at all. So until I became who I became, and then my techniques became, global, and of course everything starts to change at that point.
Yeah.
But to me, the foundation is still the same. You have to understand. You have to have an educational understanding of what it is. Don't judge it. Take it for yourself. Now, what others are saying about that, and really
Yeah.
try to understand for what it is. And that's what you did, Zach, where you just allowed yourself, and now you have a whole different outlook, and it's helping you to deal with your personal life and issues to grow. Right?
I mean, I've become so open minded about so many things, and before I would have thought this person's crazy. Like they can't do this, or I don't know. Like if this
Right.
person's trying to tell me that my father is here talking to me and he's been dead
Yeah.
for 15 years, like that's impossible.
Right.
I have an open mind for everything now, and
That's
so
it.
I don't think anybody's. There are some scammers out there, and there are some people that are full of shit,
Right.
but I kind of vet the people and do research on them before I have them on my show, and I've only got fooled one time,
Oh,
and I've always have excellent guests, and people just have to have an open mind, and people, whenever I post the content, especially on YouTube, I get so many responses, and people send me DMs on Instagram, and they're just like they want to know more, and they want to have the guest back on, and they want to they have more questions for people. So I
yeah.
feel like I'm just kind of sharing like what I like with other people, and they're getting it too. So
Right. Excellent. I love that. I love your thinking. But let me share the story, because the listeners are going, well, "Where's the story, Kevin? Were you
yeah,
saying you gave
go
us a
for
story?"
it.
So my whole theory and take, even though talking with Brian Weiss, the guy who everyone back in the day would go to for the past life, right? Um, and then there was Shirley MacLaine. Shirley
Yep.
MacLaine, huge, right? This is
Yes.
probably before your time, where all of this in the 80s, 90s, this was all the thing. You know what I mean? Past lives, healing from past lives, manifesting from past lives, all of this. So, of course, now I get into the field, and that's something that, again, we learn, we understand. But for me, because of how I approach things in my analytical mind, it has to be scientific, and I have to have scientific evidence for it. So
Yep.
even Brian Weiss, with his book, world famous book, and again, we're going way back with Shirley MacLaine, and even before her, they did past life on some very famous celebrities. And I think one of them, what was his name? Ford. The actor's name was Ford. Really big guy in this big celebrity in the 70s, and he was from Boston. And they went to Boston from this past life of all these things he was saying, and they couldn't find anything. So there was no evidence of what the past life was really doing. So
Yeah.
I'm saying all of this to say I do past life regressions for therapeutic work. Do I necessarily believe in them? No, because there's no evidence and there's no proof. And they've tried over the years to, like, again, you said your past life was on a farm, all this kind of thing. So what's the actuality of that? Is that inside your brain? Is that information that's stored in there? Because that subconscious mind is 88% of your brain's capacity. It's a giant filing cabinet. So how did
Yeah.
the information get in there? Right? Was it really because you did have that past life and that was your experience? Or is it because your brain manifested the information from another resource? Because the brain starts to develop in our mother's womb. So that could be information that was on a radio or a TV show, or somebody was talking about that in a room. So your mind captured that information and held on to it. So then now we have a past life, and we really feel connected to that. But is it the information in the filing cabinet, or is it the actuality? So this is where I split for me, because I over the years, I've tried to get the scientific evidence and the information, and there's none that exists. So I don't discount it, because now I'm going to share my story of a past life of a woman who contacted me, very, very wealthy woman. And this was earlier in my career as a hypnotherapist. She was from Connecticut, very, very wealthy woman. And she had been to every specialist, every doctor in the world, because she had shoulder pain.
Okay.
No meds, no doctors could help her. She had endless resource of money to get this done.
Yep.
She hears about me in California. She contacts me and says, listen, I heard about you. I think that you can help me. And I asked her why. I still ask everyone to this day, why do you think hypnosis is going to work for you? Right? Because it isn't for everybody, because they can't get past the stigma. They can't get past, just like you were saying earlier, Zach, how you're now more open-minded to it. But going in, you were blocked. You had reservation of, I'm not so sure, skeptical, cynicism. And I get it, because that was me. And I come from that environment. I grew up in that environment. So I battle that all the time. So she says, I think you can help me because of what I hear about you. And I go, okay, what is it you would like to do? She goes, I think my issues are from a past life. And I go, okay. And I explained to her what I just said to the listeners and to yourself about what my take was on past life. And I had contacted Brian at the time. And I said, and he walked me through a couple of things, gave me some pointers. And I said, okay. So she comes out, and she had 6 sessions with me. And within the first couple of sessions, her story, again, very similar to yours, her thing was, in a past life, she was like in the beginning of the Americas, the States, where she was in a covered wagon coming from the East Coast to the West Coast for the gold rush era.
Yeah.
This is like a movie. Okay. The story, just like your story, is like a movie line or a storybook line. So she's in the covered wagon. They're coming across, and they're midway, and a fight breaks out, cowboy and Indian style. So the wagons go into a circle like you see in TV and the movies. And what happened was, an arrow from one of the Indians, was a fire arrow, blazes through the canvas of the covered wagon, gets her in the shoulder.
Yeah.
Stick it in her shoulder. Now, medical technology back in those days, not as good as it is today. So they break the arrow off, do all kinds of crazy medical things back, whatever they did in the 1800s. And she lives with this pain. So in a past life, we go in, we heal the pain correctly and magically. After I think 40 years or 35 years or something like that, no more pain.
Wow.
Gone. And that was because of the past life experience. Now, Is that real? Is it true? Can I trace 1800s and her coming across? I mean, all of the information may be there, but she has no hard evidence of what that is. But it doesn't matter to me because therapeutically, she unblocked that pain and now she has no more pain. So that to me is powerful. And so therefore, I still do the past life regressions because of that. But I do find it fascinating to find the scientific evidence. I suppose one day, and again, like you, Zach, I'm very open-minded, where I believe that someday there will be some scientific evidence for it.
I think so too.
I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. So you changed this whole woman's life, right? She went to doctors. She went to
Everyone in
figure
the
out all this
world. She had the resources to go. Every specialist in the world spent hundreds of thousands of dollars for years trying to get rid of this pain in her shoulder, and no one could do it.
So my question to you is, you helped this woman change her life completely. You've helped other people maybe stop smoking, lose weight, which changed their life. Maybe you save lots of lives probably from helping people stop smoking, right? You've prevented lots of people from getting cancer. Do you ever take a moment to kind of step back and think, I've had this much influence on people's life. Like I've made people's lives better. Do you ever stop and take that in for a minute? You should.
No.
You should.
And I'll tell you why. My position is always a humble position where I want to stay grounded. And it's really not me, Zach. It isn't me. It's me guiding the individual. And yes, do I have gifts from God that God is giving me to bestow? I've found those gifts, right? Not even knowing, because again, if we go back to the original question in the opening of this broadcast today, this wasn't something I was interested in doing. This wasn't even in my wheelhouse of thinking I'm going to become the most famous guy in the world and sought after guy for the work of hypnotism. Where I grew up, where hypnotism was taboo and all this crazy stuff. There was not even a thought about that. So for me, my philosophy has always been, my passion is helping people to help themselves. I'm just a conduit. I'm a facilitator. I'm helping people to go where they need to go. And that's all this is. To take any credit for that, it's not me, Zach.
Yeah, but I disagree because you've been trained in this and you know how to get people there. And I think it's amazing what you're doing and what you've done for people. And I think that you should I get where you're coming from, where it's not you, but it is you because you're trained to do that. Those people couldn't sit there and hypnotize themselves and make themselves stop smoking or make this woman's shoulder stop hurting after 40 years.
Right.
I mean, you really have helped people. And I think you should be so proud of that. So,
well, I appreciate your flattery and your comments, and everyone's entitled to their opinion. But again, I'm going to stay in that humble position where I'm just a facilitator.
But I still think it's amazing what you did. Have you ever? What about people that come in and they have such a closed mind? Do you have people that you can't hypnotize because they're so closed-minded?
That's an excellent question because yes, there's not that I haven't been able to hypnotize them, because again, all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. We go in and out of it about 1,000 times a day. And if I was to tell you this, Zach, you are a natural hypnotist as well. What does your mind do right now? Does it go, does it explode? What do you think about that?
I think it would be awesome if I could do it. Yeah.
No, you do it. See, you don't realize you do it. Now, let me tell you how you do it.
Okay, tell me.
You run a successful podcast, right? You have an amazing guest on your podcast. So what you're doing by this format is you're hypnotizing people to keep coming back for more and more and more. You see? So that's the natural, organic, which is called environmental hypnosis. And you're harnessing that power and you don't even know you're doing it. So now if I show you how to harness that power, what kind of monster are we going to turn you into, right? Because remember, all good things have an evil side, right? All good things can be used for bad. So keep that in mind, okay?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it is. This is how the balance of life works. All good can be bad. All bad can be good. That's our yin and yang. That's the balance of life. That's universal law. right?
Yeah.
So you're a hypnotist. You're just not calling yourself a hypnotist. You're a podcaster, or however you label yourself. That's who Zach is, right? But you're really hypnotizing people. That's why your podcast is still going strong. You get successful guests on your podcast because you're doing things you don't even understand yet. Just like politicians, there's a natural way of how they do things. Some start to understand that. And then they call me and I coach them and they learn different techniques like NLP and stuff like that. So if I was to ask you just off the top of your head, I'll give you a hint, what two recent presidents understand the power of suggestion, influence, which is really hypnosis? What two of those do you think are?
I mean, I think people are hypnotized by Trump a lot of times, his whole following.
100%.
I don't think Biden had that. I think probably Obama had that too.
Excellent. Obama not only had it, but Obama understood the power of it and was coached to learn more about exactly what I'm telling you. That's why I just opened up your mind, because you're like, wait a minute, I'm a hypnotist as well. How do I learn more to make my business bigger, make my podcast bigger and more successful, right? So Obama is now Trump natural. Trump just, I don't know what it is. Just some people just natural in the way they do things. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, we're not here to get into politics. I'm just trying to, because this is everything people we can relate to. But Obama understood the power of that influence and his cadence, his speeches, he learned neuro-linguistic programming. And don't even take my word for it. Go look it up. It's all on Google. You can look it all up, and how he studied this, it became the president that he became. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how natural it is. That's what I was trying to get to, because it's called environmental hypnosis. And again, we go in and out of this zone about 1,000 times a day. Now, do you remember, or even maybe you're doing it now, or maybe some of your listeners are doing it now, that they're driving in their car, they're listening to this, and they just missed their exit somewhere, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. Yes.
Yeah, because they're focused on this. That's hypnosis, right?
Yeah.
Watching a good movie, reading a good book, childbirth, yoga, anything that you centralize your focus on. This is why I'm saying you're a hypnotist. They centralize and they focus on. Why? Because they like tuning into Zach. They like to watch the podcast. They like to listen to your voice. All of these things are this suggestibility, allowing you to become the hypnotist. You don't even realize it because you're doing it naturally.
Interesting. I never thought of it that way. That's a great. I learned something new today. That's great. That's why I love having people like you on. So
excellent. Yeah, but that's how natural state it is. That's what we're really getting to about what is this ability? What is this hypnosis thing, right? Well, we're doing it all day long. Every single one of us is doing it all day long. So why not understand the power of it and use it for what you want to use it for, to empower yourself to achieve your maximum potential with it? And that's what clicked for me when my turning point back in the day in school, because I wasn't taking it seriously. Again, I was just there for the college credit. Didn't really pass my mind about, I'm going to be this guy 30 years later. Not even in the wheelhouse. So it really switched for me when I started to understand, well, wait a minute, if this is a natural thing, how do I really start to utilize it? And of course, that's what I started doing, because I was that guy, Zach. And I still am today. I'm a very introverted guy. But when you see me, with all because I do the comedy hypnosis shows as well, when you see all that stuff, people think, I'm this guy.
Yeah.
No, that's all learned. And that's all through the power and the applications of hypnosis.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Who's the most person that impressed you kind of the most that you met, or that you felt like you had the biggest impact on as a celebrity that we know? If you can say it. I don't know if you can.
That's a good question, and I get asked that a lot, right? Because it's a curiosity factor. Who's the one who's the most challenging, or who's the one who, most impact? All the same stuff, right? I never really thought about that, because to me, I see things for what they are. I don't care who you are, what your titles are. I mean, because again, you know who I am, and others after watching this are probably going to look me up. And so I deal with what is now deemed the one percenters, right? The people who influence us, the people who run this world, the people who we see at TV and the movies that we're inspired by, all of these things. I don't
Yeah.
see things that way. I don't put titles on things. That's why even your compliments earlier is well, I appreciate dearly, and it really, really touches my heart. I don't see things that way because when somebody comes to me, it's all the same. We're all
Yeah.
humans. We're all pretty much built the same way. We all have issues that
Yeah.
once we discover them, we want to find somebody who's going to help us to overcome them, remove the blocks to get to our higher self, right? So it doesn't matter who one is because if I really want to start to categorize and go, well, how do you compare the Prince of Egypt to a celebrity, George Clooney?
Yeah.
Who's better? Who's worse?
Yeah.
I don't see things in that realm. I just see the person before me, like I'm looking at you right now and going, how can I help you? And how can I guide you to give you the tools to help you to overcome your blocks to achieve your maximum potential in life? I can't answer the question because I don't think in that term, in that way.
Yeah, I get it. So what is your kind of your main focus now? Because I mean, you could do. I think there's a lot of things you maybe have done or are doing, but I think you could write a book about all this or many books about
Oh yeah,
this.
many books.
I th- yeah, I think
Maybe
you
a
could
TV
just
movie of the week.
yeah, or I think you. I mean, you could do. I think you could do a. You could do a whole Vegas act residency. I think you could
Yes.
do stuff like that. You could teach people how to do this. I think you'd make. I mean, you like to learn yourself, so I think you could teach people how to do this. Which I know you said you did a bit anyway, but I mean, like especially now with online and Zoom and stuff, you could sit here and do classes all day. Eh,
100%.
or you have your clients that you're doing. So what's kind of like, what do you think that you'll be doing, let's say in 5 years from now, or what would you like to be
It's
doing?
retire.
Okay. Love it.
Retiring
Got it.
100%.
Got it.
But no,
Yeah. Good
that's
answer.
got that's that's there's no retiring. Again, how do you retire, right? There is,
Yeah.
and what is retirement? A lot
Yeah.
of the people come and see me once they get retired, they don't know what to do with themselves. Everyone,
Yeah.
in our world is geared a specific way, and we all start to follow that map. And then we get there and we go, well, wait a minute, this isn't working for me. I'm retired now. I don't even know what to do with myself. So a lot of the
Yeah.
people who come and see me now have issues that now they need to refine or rediscover themselves to reinvent themselves because retirement isn't what it's all cut out to be, right?
Yeah.
So retirement, what does that mean? When you do what you love, Zach, and you understand this, and a lot of listeners are understanding this now. When you do what you love, you're passionate about that. And you're going to do that for the rest of your life. I have a lot of people who I get in conversations with, why I don't know, but they ask me because maybe they've seen me, maybe a video was posted or a TV show, me
Yeah.
hypnotizing one of the celebrities, right? And then they have forgotten about that celebrity. So a lot of the questions I get is, why is that person still working? Why is that person still doing commercials? I don't understand why they're still
Hmm.
acting. Well, and I go, what do you mean? That's their passion. That's their core. That's what they started out as.
Yeah.
Jennifer Aniston. We'll give that example, right? Does she need to do any more work for the rest of her life?
She could, no, not at all.
Absolutely not. Right. So we'll use her as an example because now she's dating a hypnotist too. So this is a story
Oh,
for
is
another
she?
day. She is. Yes.
Okay. I'll have to
Yes.
Google that afterwards.
Yes. Zach, it's the news story of the last 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
I missed that one,
Yeah.
but yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah, he's a
I'll look it
hypnotist.
up.
He's out of the East Coast, I think, and that's her new relationship. And he's been helping her with various things, and she's been very vocal about it and very public about it. So yeah, go Google it. Anyway,
Yeah.
so
Cool.
so we'll use her as an example. So a lot of people go because she's on a lot of commercials now, and again,
Yeah.
the bottom line is her, Brad Pitt. I mean, a lot of the A-list, right? Do they really need to be working more? No, they're set for life, right?
Yeah.
But I tell people, I said, look, it's not about the money. they're doing what they're passionate about, what they started their lives to be, and what they ended up evolving to become. And so,
Yeah.
just because you have all this money, or houses, cars, whatever the material things are that people seek, they haven't forgotten their core, their passion. So of course they're gonna. It was like, I don't understand why Jennifer's doing a commercial, because again, we all understand the hierarchy. Even people who are not in the business,
Yeah.
that if you're not doing a motion picture, if you're doing a commercial, that's two different worlds.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
who does
Yeah.
commercials, right?
Yeah.
Up and coming actors and actresses do commercials because there's no money in it, right? But they're doing it because they're passionate about what they do. And that's my point. So for me, is there ever retirement? No, I think I'm going to continue to do what I do and expand my business, for others to, like what you said, the books, the classes, and really cement that legacy when I'm long gone, so people can still be learning from that material, right?
Yeah, I think that exactly. I feel like you've got this talent, and
Yeah,
you want to leave it here for people, like you said, as your legacy when you're gone one day.
100%. Because again, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, right? I've had mentors. I've got people who are no longer with us in my industry who were my mentors. And so
Mhm.
I'm just, again, passing the torch, because there's going to be somebody after me. But I'm setting the foundation of things that I've created, what I've implemented, and trying to teach people that. But that's somewhat of a frustrating thing too, because to teach what I'm able to do is not easily transferable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you were to kind of document this in a book or whatever on how to do this, have you thought about like how you would kind of lay that out so somebody could do it? I feel like that
Oh
they
yeah.
need.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything is already developed. It's just waiting. Everything's about timing,
Yeah.
and it'll all come.
Cool.
I'm very aggressive in my personality when it comes to business, but there's timing with everything, and it's all about the proper timing. So, and that will come, and you will know. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because if you try to do it or you try to push it, it's just not going to work. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So, I mean, you get this.
Yeah. If somebody wants to get in touch with you for a session, do they go to your website for that?
Yeah. Go to the website.
Okay.
That's the best place, or Google the best hypnotist in the world. So most people, this is the crazy thing. So I tell people, go to the website hypnotist.com, and they go,
Yeah, you get the
what?
best URL. You get the best domain
That's
name ever.
I'm glad you just did that, Zach, because that's exactly what. Again, I've been doing this a long time, so I got in early when the internet.
Yeah.
This is way before your time. You were still probably in grade school when all this was happening for me, right? So, yeah, I own hypnotist.com. And so, but people somehow, it doesn't connect, or they spell it. Even when I go in sometimes to check and see what's going on with the webmaster, make sure everything's updated
Yeah.
and all that, I type in the wrong thing sometimes. And so I just tell people, look, if you forget that, just Google, go to Siri, go to Chat GPT,
Yeah.
just put in the best hypnotist in the world, and am more than likely I'm going to come up. Because again, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants.
I mean, I think you're amazing. I'm so glad I got to interview you. Um, I really want people to go to your website and learn more about you if they don't know who you are already. And I think there's a lot of people out there that you may get that will contact you for some of this, whether it's smoking or weight or trauma or who knows, maybe past lives or something. So I hope you get a lot of people contacting you for this.
Everything happens for a reason, right? There's no
Yeah,
chance, there's no luck. You know, people will discover and be guided to the people they need to be guided to help them for the time of where they're at. That's my
yeah,
belief system, right? So
I believe that too.
that's how they find me too, right? Or they found me through somebody else, or even this podcast to be like, oh, now the wheels start thinking in their head, and they think, yeah, I think I want to work on this obscure thing that no one ever even heard of. They go, hey, can you hypnotize me for that? And the answer is yes, absolutely, 100%. My success rate's hitting right around 95, 98%.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that's why people seek me out. So anyway, let's do something really quick because I think
Okay.
are we wrapping this up already? Wow, time went by fast, Zach. All right,
Yeah.
take
We
your
had a
hands,
good
put them up like
conversation.
this. Take your hands, fold them down like this. And now, if you're trying along at home, or if you're driving and listening, do not do this.
Yes.
Only do this when you get home, rewatch the podcast, and then this will be good for you. Take your two fingers, put them up like that. So what we're doing now is we're taking our two index fingers, our pointing fingers, and putting them up. Now, Zach, put them up so you're looking up right down the center of them. Don't look at me.
Okay.
Don't look at the screen. Look down the center of your two fingers.
Okay.
You'll find it starting, open them up a little bit, Zach. Open them up. There you go. You'll find it starting right now. Those two things will start to move in closer and closer together. There's two magnets pulling and tugging, pulling closer, closer, closer. The more you resist, the more they will move in. Touching. They're going to touch. When they do touch, you'll reach the height of your suggestibility as they continue to move in closer, 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 closer. Touching. Good. Freeze right there. Now, I can convert you into a hypnotic state right now, Zach, because you did that at free will, right? Explain to everybody what just happened to you. So so I didn't influence you or anything until just now, but we didn't set this up. We didn't have a meeting.
I didn't know you were going to do this at all.
Exactly. So that's the power of suggestion. We were talking about this earlier with the environmental hypnosis. That's exactly it right there. I just used a language pattern to get you to the point of where your fingers started to move.
Yeah.
That's the simplicity of it.
Wow. That's amazing.
Wild. And listen, this is what I'm going to do. Because I think my battery's dying on my system too. So we got to go.
Okay.
Anyone listening? We'll do this again, right?
Yeah, sure.
Because what's kind of challenging, because this is like our second or third time we try to get this going, and because of conflicts and time and meeting, I don't know. So finally we were able to do this, folks. Just to let you know, this behind the curtain, what really goes on. It was a little bit challenging for both of us to really connect and make this happen, but I'm glad I did. So here's what we're going to do. Now I have total power programming systems that I offer. If you go to my website, they're $275 just for one programming system. Everyone listening to this podcast or watching the podcast for the next week, is this going to be released within a week, Zach, or?
I have to look at the schedule. Probably not a week, but I'll let you know when it does. Hopefully your computer didn't die, because if you can hear me, I can't hear you. So this is what we're going to do. Unfortunately, we had a little bit of technical difficulties with Kevin towards the end of the podcast. I think maybe his computer or phone died, however he was calling in. But I am going to find out what the offer was that he was going to give anyone that went to his website, and I will put it in the description of this podcast or video that you're watching, and that way you can go and you can take advantage of this. And again, Kevin was an amazing guest, and I'm so thankful that he came on. And as he was saying before, him and I were trying to schedule this and going back and forth between our two schedules, and I'm really thankful that I got to bring him on. You got to hear who he is, because he's an amazing guy. So thank you so much for listening. Be sure to subscribe to it. And again, sorry for the technical difficulties at the end. It's the world of technology and it's where we are. But I will get the information from Kevin, and I will make sure that I'll get you that code for him for you to get. I believe he was going to give you a discount, I believe. So thanks so much for listening. Be sure to subscribe and leave a comment what you thought about this episode. Thanks so much.